let's go for the first ever, the greatest intercontinental champion of the UFC. Let's
I
go
was
all over
gonna
the
say, what
world,
would you call it? It would be you'd bring the IC title to the UFC.
man. And this is it. We
Imagine if they had a
go.
mid card title in the UFC.
That's what I'm saying. If you want me to defend the belt, I'm good for 5. And if you just want me to fight, I'm good for 3. And we can do this in Paris and we can do this in Houston,
Yeah.
intercontinental champion all over the world, whatever we write that contract up. That sounds good to me. Honestly, I have good wrestling. I have good wrestling defense. And then here's the thing, when it transfers over into MMA, my MMA wrestling is good. Maybe on a collegiate level in the bottom, finals match, Carl Deaton wins or loses. But in MMA wrestling, Carl Deaton wins. My funk rolling's good. The shots are good. I just haven't utilized it yet.
What's going on with you these days? Obviously, it's been a few months since we saw you last in action, but what's been going on with you, man? Just hanging out, training, like what's been up?
Yeah, man. What you said, keep training, still getting right, moving forward, really. With my last performance, I took a L. And if you read the scorecard, it's a 30-26. I don't necessarily think I was, my ass got whooped 30-26. So I didn't lose my confidence. I didn't lose anything. So it's just moving forward, brother. Just taking the tools, keep sharpening the tools, and whatever they give me next, just going in there for sure, get that finish, get that win, get those bonus checks, and start my title run.
And it seems like that seems to be a very I guess it's like a repeating theme with you. Like every time, no matter the theme of the event, whether it was a loss, win, whatever it is, it seems like you seem to always be moving forward, right? Is that accurate? Like, do you have that mindset? Like, what happened? Let's move forward. Let's move on to the next one. Because that's sort of the energy I get from you in post-fight circumstances.
Yes, I don't really want to hang my head, honestly. And in this game, everybody knows that they fucked up. Like man to man, if they don't want to tell the world it was a great this, it was a shitty that. Everybody knows under those lights where you fucked up or where you did not push yourself in camp. It comes to light. And in my last 2 performances, of course we're always going to go try harder, but nonetheless, the drill work, the foundation has been set in stone. Where I never took those fights going into them thinking, what if I lose? I never thought of that. I never would even sign up to a fight thinking that anyway. So the only way to like make myself just for the athlete purpose, for what I want to do, move forward, man. I can't hang my head on it. There's nothing in that camp I would have done different, and I didn't. It's not like I'm gonna try harder. I'm busting ass every day, and I'm making weight. I'm performing. My skills are. I like my skills, and I like my language. I like my routine. So man, we flip a little things in those fights, maybe a little bit of coaching, maybe a little bit of this, that in the cornering, and we come out with a win, and maybe I'm sitting with you 2-0. So, just perspective and making those little adjustments and moving forward, man. Exactly.
Right. And you pretty much had no qualms about how the preparations went for the last fight, it sounds like. But I'm sure it went well in Minnesota, right? Again, it seems like that based on what you just said. So does that mean that maybe the next camp could be in Minnesota again? Because it seems like you have no, doubts about how it went. It seems like it went well, right? You had a lot to say about coach as well, a lot of good praise for him. So could it be possible Minnesota is where you intend to stay?
No, right now I'm in Michigan. I'm gonna go look at Michigan camps. I'm gonna go look maybe in
So you don't
Arizona.
live in Michigan, right? I thought maybe you lived there and then he trained somewhere else. Is that just where you're going now? That's the next sort of stop for you on the MMA training journey?
Right. I'm from
Awesome.
Michigan, but I just packed up my condo in Minnesota, and
Yeah.
just it's man, I've been in places in the world where if I showed you where I lived, you'd be like, dude, do you live here? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I love the gym, and to you it might look like this, but to me this is I got my mansion. And then to flip that in the world where I love where I live, man. The gangster gate, it's gated, it's nice. I got all the amenities, and I just didn't love the gym aspect, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's crazy how those things flip for you in the world. It's like, man, I've had everything and not loved it, and I have nothing and I loved it. So I'm just trying to find that rhythm for Carl Deaton. I'm trying to find that coaching staff for Carl Deaton, and like I said, man, I want that next title run. I would love to bring Midwest back into combat sports, and people are doing it around the world. I'm not saying I'm the only one, stuff like that, but just to add to it, the Midwest, add to Michigan's combat. Back in the day, Michigan was a hub for some of the best boxing. We had Bruce Buffer out here at the, or yeah, Michael Buffer. I'm sorry, Michael Buffer over here at the casinos announcing back in the day for big boxing fights. So you know in the world of combat sports. I just want to add to it and put my name in there, make my money, make my chips, and provide for my family as well as any other fighter does.
Is there any good stuff going on in Michigan as far as MMA that people might not know about?
Man, I just got back last month, so but I hope so. Michigan's came a long way with the sanctioning body. Man, when I first started, it was guys used to line up and they used to just pick dudes, and there was no sanctioning. There was people were smoking ciggies right before they're going out and
Yeah.
drinking, or maybe you just showed up and you wanted to get into a scrap that day. So right now, I would say I hope that Michigan is taking the correct paths for all this, and I think they are too with the Michigan Laura and the sanctioning bodies here in Michigan. So that's the only thing I would like to do just for the safety of the fighters. This is fighting, and that we love this shit, but what you want to do is love this shit 40 years down the road when you're talking clearly to your kids, or whatever you're doing in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems again that you don't harp on the past, so we're not going to harp on it. But as far as the Alex Munoz fight, did you take anything from that fight that's going to translate sort of into the training for this next one? Is there anything that stood out to you that you feel is necessary to drill, furthermore leading into this next fight? Obviously, I don't think you have anything announced yet, but, just in training and then obviously going into maybe a next scheduled fight, anything that you sort of keep in mind from the last fight, anything to key in on?
Definitely, Marcos. I'm telling you right now, my background is in wrestling, so I haven't. Man, I've gotten really attached to my hands and knowing that like it's a lottery. You go out there and you change up your style and you knock a dude out. You put 4 checks in your pocket and I'm a wrestler. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? So I kind of got horny with that fact. I'm gonna go chase this. Instead of losing my root, my base. Like honestly, I have good wrestling. I have good wrestling defense. And then here's the thing: when it transfers over into MMA, my MMA wrestling is good. Maybe on a collegiate level in the bottom, finals match, Carl Deaton wins or loses. But in MMA wrestling, Carl Deaton wins. My funk rolling's good. The shots are good. I just haven't utilized it yet because I was man. It's a nice feeling knowing you got power in your hands, and when you see it capitalized, man, it's like there we go, man.
Definitely
Fuck
got the
wrestling.
overhand, man. You got power in that.
Thanks, brother. Let's make some money. So that's what just putting it all together, not and patience in this game, but knowing how to pull the trigger with that. Like I said, I got good wrestling, but I also got power in the hands. So I'm trying to find that good balance.
And, aside from things that you're working on, is there anything that you're excited to show the fans aside from that? Obviously, that was a great teaser, and I would think that's probably the main thing. But aside from that, anything else you're excited to show the fans that you feel like you haven't been able to show in these 2 UFC fights aside from the wrestling?
Definitely, and just not only my showman skills on the cage, but just the voister skills. I would love to plug more of myself. I'd love to bring attention to platforms, and I don't need to bicker with people. I don't need to bicker to raise a fight. Let's fight to fight, and let's fight and see who has the best soup afterwards. I would love to be on the thing. I'd love to pump up everybody in this game. It's a selfish game, but when if you can bring attention to everybody, yeah, I just whooped this ass, and we still got another main event coming up. Grab your buddies, tell them to get right over. I feel like that's missing from the UFC. So everybody's trying to be their own, leprechaun. 100%. Let the native tie it all back in, dog. Let me say, let's bring all these people together. We're still fighting. We're still getting it right here. We haven't even, touched the max of what this fight game can do. You just seen Connor take it up 4 levels.
Sure.
So let's see if we can do it again. And I would love to help the UFC and whoever their partners are in reaching that stuff, and maybe learning more myself on this business. But realistically, other than being a badass fighter, I would say myself, the people I would like to know that you know Carl Deaton is just one of the hardest working fighters in the game, and wiser than most kings. That's what I would like to say. And in any situation, people say they touch it and turns to gold. I would like to say, yes, that is true. And I would love to help any situation, any company, anything, progress, be better. On this podcast, I would love this podcast is to be better, man. It's like, man, we ripped one and it was on. It took off. We got more attention, whatever it was, because of what this kid said. And it could be, and I want it to be genuine and I want it to be real. So that's what I want people to say. It's my heart's in this game. I want people to know that more than just everyone looks on for fighting, but people make a life out of this world and fighting, and people get married, and people make lives with other women and men get married in this life of fighting, and women. You got Amanda Nunez, a married woman. So,
Yeah.
people find real love in this life. And Carl Deaton, I'm excited to showcase not only my skills, but just who my true self is, and bring this world, stronger in combat sports, and put my name on the final table. I was one of the best to do it in myself.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to articulate yourself quite well and seem to really want a place embedded into that UFC culture, I guess, if you will. So I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on the division that you're in, right? You're obviously a lightweight. It's a shark tank of a division, 155. What do you think of the division overall, right? It might be the best one in the sport, and you seem to be in the midst of it now.
Right, that is one of the best divisions in the whole world, because 155 is just that weight class. And if you want to dial in back in the day, man, remember back in the day, the UFC didn't even have under 55s.
Right.
So they cut it right there. That's the grown man all the way up to the bigger man, and then they inducted all the WC cats. So I never wanted to be cut off. So I knew that in my career, I was like going up if they ever. Because remember back when they were thinking about taking away the 25 class, and Cejudo made a big deal about it.
Yep.
So I never wanted to be even that chance, and I was floating around 35s and 45s, and then so it's always been on the back of my mind, because this fight game, you can do whatever you want. You can just say we're gonna have 25ers and then 55ers and up. So I wanted to be in the Shark Tank with the big dogs. I want to place Carl Deaton, the Anishinaabe kid, up there with the big dogs, and I want to win against one of these big dogs to solidify my name.
Yeah, I mean,
It is one. It is
yeah.
one of the hardest weight classes, I do believe. I'm saying it because I'm in it, but if you watch, the body styles and types are all over the world, and I believe so. I believe it is one of the hardest weight classes, the hardest weight class.
I would think it's number one, personally.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you got bantamweight as well, but it's quite close. I think lightweight is obviously a good weight class. And you spoke about, obviously the weight class and all that. Are there any fights that excite you down the line? Like, obviously we want to say most times, don't look ahead, but you don't really have a fight planned right now. So maybe you
Right.
can talk a little shop. Any fights, any fighters that excite you, as far as facing them down the line?
Definitely. I would love to, fight Michael Chandler. I would love to fight the BMF belt. I wanted that win.
It's in the weight
Or
class now, I guess, right?
yeah, but even if it wasn't, I still want that title. I want that throw down, that fight. I want to know who's the other man on the other side that thinks he's a bad motherfucker, and let's duke it out and see who makes the better soup again. It's man, it's exciting, man. Fights can be made all over, and honestly, I wouldn't even mind calling people up or down in the weight class. I want to fight Patty Pimblett. I would like to fight Tony Ferguson. Who else? There was a couple guys I wanted for a minute. I wanted Cody. I wanted to win my last one and call out Cody Stamen, bring him up to 55, or I would even go down to 45. I'll sell it out with there. That's two Michigan cats going at it. So, like I said, like the world hasn't seen it yet, but I want to shake up the division and then maybe create my own belt. Let's go for the first ever, the greatest intercontinental champion of the UFC. Let's go
I was
all
going
over
to
the
say, what would
world,
you call it? It would be you bring the IC title to the UFC.
man. And this is it.
Imagine
We
if they had a
go.
mid-card title in the UFC.
That's what I'm saying. If you want me to defend the belt, I'm good for 5. And if you just want me to fight, I'm good for 3. And we can do this in Paris, and we can do this in Houston,
Yeah,
intercontinental champion all over the world, whatever we write that contract of. That sounds good to me.
that's actually not a bad idea, right? Kind of like, how PFL has like the European champion now.
Yeah.
I mean, man, that would be pretty cool if UFC had other titles outside of the weight class champions besides BMF. That's actually a good idea, honestly. Somebody
I,
should look into that, or, talk a little more on that, because that's a great idea.
that's what I'm saying is I can't bitch because I can't. They didn't give me the mic, but as soon as I get the win, this next one, man, I was like, hey, next one, I want the title.
You're going to have to call for it, man.
100%, yes.
So listen, we appreciate the time. Obviously, you don't got a fight coming up or anything, so it doesn't seem like there's too much on the agenda, but we do appreciate you catching up nonetheless, man.
Thanks, Marcos, and talking MMA. I appreciate your time. This is from the kid, CD3 Anishinaabe kid.
That's right, man. Anywhere that people could check you out as far as social media, besides the social media platforms, anything you're up to. I know you just signed with recently, right? It's been a few months. You're with Ruby Sports now, right? So obviously people could check you out there, right?
Yes, if you want to get in touch, all the social media platforms are good. CD3 Sports across the board, and if you're really interested, Ruby Entertainment, Sports Management, and I appreciate everything, man. Marcos, man, appreciate your time too, man.
Carl, good luck, man. In the future, we're excited to see you fight next. It's going to be exciting for sure.
All right.